So instead of doing words for the meditation, I will just do channel healing sounds combined with ancient Sanskrit mantras. And the Sanskrit in itself is transformational. The vibration and the frequency of it is transformational. So we don't even have to understand intellectually what it means, but just let the sounds work through you. And there was, you, sweetheart, you were already tuning in when I was working with this earlier to set the space. She was here and she went immediately into the deep space. And that's what the idea is here, to just let spirit carry you. Shrtim Pushtivardhanam Urva Rukamiva Bandhanat Mrutyor Mukshiyamamrutat. Heal and restore. Heal and restore to what we truly are. Heal and restore to what we truly are. Wake up from a dream. Wake up from the dream. Wake up from the dream. Now. Be who you truly are. Divine Source. Breathe and know yourself. Everything else is not true. Go back to the beginning. Can't control what tomorrow will bring, but I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. Enough when I remember who I truly am, 'cause all I want is all I am when this heart is whole again. As I walk now through the valley, let this love rise above every fear, like the sun shaping the shadow. In my weakness this glory appears. Enough when I remember who I truly am, 'cause all I want is all I know when this heart is whole again. To the beginning, control what tomorrow will bring. But I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. Not for a minute am I forsaken, for love is in the space. Love is in the space. Light up the darkness, let hearts awaken. The love that's in this place, the love that's in this place. Ooh. How is everybody? It's a good response. Yeah, where is it? That's a good one. But this was sort of a transition. Words wake us up because they engage the mind. But at least if they are words that point to the truth, then it's a good thing. Because, like I said earlier, the mind needs to be set right constantly. It's just, you know, we have to be vigilant only because of the gnarly conditioning and programming we have received, even from the time we were in our mom's womb, and our parents received, our grandparents. So there's no fault. It's just humanity has been suppressed and kept small and kept guilty and kept in fear through so many methods. It's once you start to see it, it's, oh my gosh, that's incredible. But what is even more incredible than the ingenious control mechanisms and smooshing down mechanisms of us human beings is our courage and our incredible resilience. You know, like, oh my goodness, our spirit is so strong. And it's just right now we're in an unprecedented time. You know, in Hindu teachings, in the ancient Indian teachings, they talk about cycles of 26,000 years where the earth resets, where basically you go through and it has to do with astrology and astronomy as well. So when the earth is very far away, when our galaxy is very far away from the central sun, not our sun, but the central sun, then the energy is a lower frequency. There is not as much light. And so the consciousness on the planets is lower, and they call that Kali Yuga, the Dark Ages. Well, guess what? We're just coming out of it. But then there is the age of energy, you know, there is the age of technology, then there is the age of wisdom, of truth, Sat Yuga. But we've gone through these cycles many times, and the earth has been reset through pole shifts and floods and all kinds of things before. But this is different. And, you know, I don't take anybody's wisdom in unless it resonates with me, with my whole being. So I hear things from some beings that are, you know, I respect them very much. And they speak about that this is unprecedented. So even in previous resets on Earth, this has never happened before. It's kind of like the Starship Enterprise, if you know about that. I love Star Trek, always loved it. And they go where no man has gone before, right? To explore new worlds. So we are exploring new levels of consciousness, but the churning and the hardship and the craziness right now is in that we're in the middle of this birth canal. We're in the middle of a very difficult birth. We're in the middle of a kind of opposing forces. So the old energy, the old control energy, the dark energy, the one that is all about control and power and clamping down and keeping these beings here small and enslaved. And then there is this incredible, unstoppable force of light. And so we're right in the middle of this storm. And I've noticed that so many things I have to let go of. So many ideas, even the wisdom that I used to have. So it's new territory. And what it is, it frightens us We were always afraid of, like many people in the retreat there were 75 people, and many were so afraid to even dip their toe in the water. So we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of the mystery. We've been kept in that state for a long time, so we're accustomed to it. So it takes great courage to break free of that. And that's why it requires energy and seeing the old patterns. You just have to see them. You can't fix them. So this mind that we all share that drives us nuts is the ancient mind. It's an ancient mind of humanity, an ancient consciousness that goes round and round like a hamster in a wheel. It doesn't create anything new. It's just locked in itself. So all the things that trouble us, all the programs we're running, inner children that are hurting and have lost their dignity and their sense of safety. We all have one of those or several of those inside. Those are the ones that are now coming out to be seen. And it's requiring our true nature, our higher aspects of our nature to be strengthened. So a service like this will strengthen us. It will strengthen the truth in us. It will strengthen our courage and our faith, and it will strengthen our ability to keep making course corrections with the ship. So navigating these times is not for the faint of heart. It really isn't. So every one of us is a hero. And we each have our particular custom-made little challenging, things to go through. And they seem sometimes very, very gnarly, even life-threatening, But I find in my life, it brings me to my knees in a good way. In a way where the mind that thinks it knows or can control things just surrenders, or it just gives up. And what happens when we give up? There is nothing we need to fix. There is nothing we need to do. There is nothing we need to improve. It's you realize you have always been there. You have always been a divine, amazing being that is simply exploring in this dense realm of form. And it's kind of fun. I don't think you can eat ice cream in the spirit world. There was the Royal Scoop, oh my gosh, an amazing ice cream store in Hawaii. And our inner children could not stay away from that store. We were all running around with our little ice cream, oh my gosh, heavenly flavors. But it's to be enjoyed. And we are on an evolving world. So even though we are in nature perfect, we have a perfect design. But when we come down through the layers of greater and greater density, greater and greater layers of density, and we end up here in this physical, very dense form, there are challenges to even remember our perfection, to even remember where we came from. But somehow we thought that was a fun game. Like on the Starship Enterprise, they have their recreation is a holodeck. And the holodeck is a big room that has computer-generated worlds. You can generate any world or experience you want. And so people go in there and they have their recreation. Any fantasy, any world, anything is possible there. But once in a while, and I love those episodes, once in a while, something malfunctions and the program won't stop. And so sometimes they pick dangerous programs just for the fun of it or to hone their skill in fight or whatever. But once in a while, you can't, so if it gets dangerous in the program, you can say, computer freeze program, and it all stops. And you smile, right? But once in a while, it doesn't stop. And then they have to run for their lives. And we're kind of in that. We're in this holodeck, and we go, computer freeze program, but it's not freezing. So we just have to find the skill, and the strength, and the trust, and the faith to navigate through this simulated world. And it's incredible. I just think of God as a gigantic quantum supercomputer that is driven. Its hard drive, its very essence is intelligence and love. And it's just spewing out, constructing, or projecting, I should say, every possibility that is anything, everything and everything, to kind of explore what it's all about. Oh, if you're infinite, it got kind of be boring. You sit there, oh, I'm infinite, smile on the mountaintop. We wouldn't go to a movie theater if there was someone on the screen just sitting there in meditation, golden Buddha light, and smiling. We wouldn't pay for that movie. We want action. We want some danger. We want a story. So every one of us has a beautiful, beautiful story that we are living through. And lately it really feels like it's a new territory. It's somewhere I've never been and nobody else has ever been. But in a way, I've always been there. Because it takes me deeper to my essence, to my true nature. And when I go deeper into that, all is well. All is well. Even with, a medical journey or whatever issues we struggle with in this life, it just becomes well. Everything is well. We're going through the steps and we're watching the character in the movie playing to the best of their ability, their role. But we always know in the background who we are and that nothing can ever go wrong. So I've had the great privilege to travel and be with some great saints and sages, modern mystics. And one of them, Karuna Mai, is a holy mother from India, and she travels around the world to help. So she sees everybody as her child. So she is looking at the world from the perspective of a divine mother, that everything, all of creation, a tree, an animal, everything is her child. And her emanation, coming from that perspective, is just by itself healing. So thousands of people flock to her. She is considered like a true saint. And I traveled with her while she was on tour in the US. And she took away stage fright. She made me sit next to her. There were many people, like 300 people in the beginning, to be with her, and she made me sing some songs. And finally I realized there was just the Divine Mother just singing with, to, from, as the Divine Mother. And there was nothing scary anymore. And since then, I've sung for a few thousand people. It just doesn't matter. I sing for one or I sing through the forest. It just doesn't matter. It's that energy. So when I was doing the meditation earlier with the sounds, I could sense, this is not from a little self ego perspective, but I could sense that that true self can command the energy in this body, in a room, in other people. It can command the energy to become more coherent and the divine to wake up in the space and in everyone and in myself. It's really powerful. And so anyway, the story with Karuna Mai was, I had a friend, he was in college, just started in college to become a doctor, but he had a brain injury or a brain tumor. And so he had already 4 surgeries, and he had a stint in his head. I mean, he looked like he wasn't going to make it, and one side was all clamped up, and this young man was devastated. So I arranged a meeting with Karuna Mai, and we met in this room. And I wasn't even supposed to be there, just his parents and him, but I stayed in quietly, and I was meant to hear what she said. So he was lying on the ground, and she comes in, and she goes and bends down and touches his head. And she says, my son, nothing ever happened and nothing ever will. And it just gives me goosebumps to this day. That message was spoken from direct divine knowledge. Of course, on the human level, stuff happens, or seems to anyway, right? But she said, nothing ever happened, nothing ever will. So this young man healed. He healed completely. He now has a beautiful family. He has children. He has a gorgeous job in British Columbia. He's totally well. So sometimes it takes to get to the bottom of the barrel, the bottom of despair, to get to death's door, before we open to the grace, and in whatever form it comes. In this case, it came in form of Karunamai, which means the great compassionate mother, or it can come through some other way. The divine has no limits. So any way that divine wants to arrange it for our benefit, it can. But what it requires, I realized, is our willingness. And our willingness to open to that grace has to do with worthiness. And so that's another thing that humanity, I think it's the deepest wounding that we have, is unworthiness. Our religions taught us unworthiness. We were taught in school, if you don't get the right answer, we were beaten in school for not having the right answer. How can you learn in an environment like that, right? How can you have self-confidence? How can you feel good about yourself? So we were, in various ways, through various forms, peer pressure, all kinds of things, we were beaten down to believe we are less than. So that is the main wounding of humanity. And when you feel small and helpless and less than and unworthy, of course you are afraid, right? And you're looking for more powerful beings to tell you what to do. So we've worshipped outside of ourselves. Now, I have a temple, a cabin in the woods at home. It's a temple. It has pictures of all these saints and sages, and I used to more like be in a state of maybe worship. But now I see them as my friends, and I go and talk to them. Hey, what do you think of that? You know, they're more like, okay, they're my friends, and their consciousness is just very expanded, and that is my wish, my desire, my greatest desire as well, to have this consciousness or this divine energy in this being expand more and more and more until there is no more limits, until there is no more fear, until there is no more doubt, and there is no more mistrust. Until this one walks and talks with God all the time. And no matter what goes on in the outer world, you know, sometimes you just don't feel well, or sometimes you feel great, and it just comes and goes like waves in the ocean. But you will always know who you are. You will never, ever forget again. But it does mean there is actually a change in the brain. So to be in that state of absolute knowing and divine awakened relating, it does change our brain. So the hardware actually changes, the biological part of the brain changes. And that's why in the workshops and in my programs, I use all the different tricks and tools to help the brain to change out of its ruts. You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about what wires together, fires together, you know, the neurons in the brain. And they've been in grooves for so long. That's why it's so difficult to change, because all of this is automatic. It's in the subconscious, and the subconscious is 2 million times more powerful than the conscious mind. So it requires us to, again, to go against mainstream, to go against what we've been taught, to go against our programs. It requires great courage. But I don't think you would be here in this room if you didn't have it. So whatever you think about yourself, I know who you are. I know who you are. You can't hide from me. I see it. And the personalities do their thing, you know. Sometimes I sit and cry. It's okay. It's just then meet whatever arises with compassion, knowing that it passes. It's a temporary experience. All experiences come and go, except that inner knowing, that inner steadiness. When am I supposed to stop with the talk? Well, that's, I don't know. I can't see the clock over there. Okay, so, okay, so that's about now. See, I have all these great notes, but I never looked at them. How did that happen? So I want to read you something that might be helpful by Carrie Kay. And she said, the thing we are each here to master is exactly this. Number one is the place we have struggled the most. So just reflect for a moment what that is in your life. What have you struggled with the most, right? Number two, the place we avoided for the longest time. And what is that place in you? What have you tried to avoid, right, in life? And number three, the place we carried with a pain no one else could imagine. A secret pain. And that pain is so isolated, it feels no one could ever understand or remedy. So she says, these are doorways that open to the deepest parts of our spiritual path. And our mission might look different on the surface, but at the core, it's the same. We all have the same mission. We're each here to master the thing we have struggled with the most. The anguish was never a mistake. It was an initiation into our mastery. And it's the puzzle piece that each of us came to solve. So we're solving it not just for ourselves, but actually for the collective. So every time you have a little victory in whatever way, or you see something differently, you make a course correction, it goes into the collective field, and everyone benefits. So it's really worth working with, you know, being willing to not follow the old rut, the old programs and the old patterns. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's, not tedious sometimes, but I haven't found a better way, a different way. I will tell you if I do find it. If there is a magic pill somewhere, I will definitely find it and share it. But recently, a big challenge came up in my life, and then I was puzzled because it just didn't fit me at all. It's like, what? This is not on my radar. It just didn't make any sense. And it's a process. But I asked myself in meditation, if you had a magic wand and you could change it and make it go away, make it all well again, would you? And the answer was no. For some odd reason, this big challenge felt in alignment. And then I got the message, it's not just for you. So what I discover on this new journey, which I would have never taken had it not been for this challenge, will benefit others as well. So it's really interesting how it all works, but that's always been my intention. I wanted to be of benefit here for myself and for others. I wanted to contribute. It's just because we came here for that, we signed up for that, and we've been thwarted many times and told we're not effective, but that's bullshit. It really is. We are powerful beings, and I would love for you to find, even if it's a tiny little way that you can make a difference for yourself first and then for others, and do it with joy, because that's what it's all about. We just enjoy it. Like we enjoyed our ice cream every single day on Maui, and even though it was $6 or $7 one scoop, it didn't matter. We just enjoyed it. So I could talk a long time, but let's continue. And I will do a workshop at noon after the service, from noon to 2. And I will do some different things today that are going to be very valuable. I hope you can join. Or call your friends. Grab them. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Angelika.